Beijing, 1630. The main square is packed with thousands of spectators, and at the center of it all stands General Yuan Chonghuan, bound to a wooden frame. The executioner approaches with a blade so sharp it catches the morning light like broken glass. This is cut number 2417. Yuan has been dying in public for 2 full days. His chest, once decorated with military medals, now resembles a butcher's work in progress. Small pieces of his flesh are being removed one by one, and somehow, impossibly, he remains conscious. The crowd isn't silent in horror. They're shouting, fighting, pressing forward with silver coins clutched in their fists. They want to buy his flesh. They believe that eating the meat of an executed traitor will cure their sick children, heal their dying parents, ward off the diseases that sweep through their streets. A mother just paid 3 silver taels for a piece carved from his shoulder blade. The meat is still warm when it exchanges hands. Yuan watches the transaction happen. His eyes follow the bloody chunk of himself as it disappears into the crowd. Somewhere in that mass of faces stands his 7-year-old son, forced onto the criminal family platform, made to count each cut aloud in a voice that has long since stopped shaking. Here's what makes this execution the most insane moment in the history of human cruelty. Yuan Chonghuan is completely innocent. 3 years ago, this same man saved Beijing from Manchu invasion. He was the hero of the city, the general who stood between civilization and chaos. But the enemies he defeated spread lies, whispered rumors that he was secretly working with the invaders he fought so hard to destroy. The emperor believed those lies. Now the man who saved Beijing is being slowly carved into medicine for the very people he protected. His daughter stands somewhere in that crowd too, pretending she doesn't know him, because tomorrow she'd be sold to a military brothel in Mongolia. Yuan sees her. His lips form a single word: run. She doesn't run. In 1630 China, there is nowhere for a general's daughter to hide from what they call imperial justice. This execution method has a name: Linki, death by 1,000 cuts, though in Yuan's case the number is 3,600, 1 cut for each enemy soldier he killed defending the realm. But Linki is just one piece of a much larger machine, one of 7 systematic torture execution methods that ancient China perfected over 3,000 years. This wasn't random violence or the work of sadistic individuals. This was institutionalized, bureaucratized, scientifically calculated agony. They measured exact angles for maximum pain. They created drugs to keep victims conscious longer than nature intended. They built an entire economy around the suffering of the condemned. If you're someone who's drawn to the darkest corners of history, to the stories that textbooks try to forget, then hit that subscribe button now, because what you're about to hear will change how you understand human civilization forever. This wasn't just cruelty. This was cruelty transformed into art, into law, into a system so refined that it makes medieval European torture look amateurish by comparison. The man responsible for designing China's punishment system died experiencing every torture he'd invented. The year was 208 before the Common Era. His name was Li Si, and 3 days before his execution, he was the second most powerful man in the empire. He could order anyone's death with a signature. He wrote the laws that turned justice into geometry, calculating precise angles for mutilation, optimal depths for cuts, perfect temperatures for branding irons. He experimented on prisoners to refine his techniques, documenting every scream, cataloging every reaction. Now the executioner heating the branding iron is following Li Si's own manual, page 47 section 3, which specifies that the iron must glow orange, not red, because red is too hot and kills nerves too quickly, while orange maintains pain without causing fatal shock. Li Si wrote those words after careful research. Now he's learning exactly how accurate his calculations were. The executioner's needle enters Li Si's forehead at exactly 45 degrees, the angle Li himself specified for maximum scarring. The ink is mixed with human bile, Li's own innovation to prevent the tattoos from healing cleanly. His grandson, 8 years old, watches from the crowd. The boy will grow up to hang himself rather than live with the family shame. But the facial tattoo is only the beginning. Li Si designed 5 punishments, and he will experience all of them in order before he dies. The nose removal comes next, the blade positioned at exactly 30 degrees upward to preserve breathing while maximizing disfigurement. The executioner is a man named Wei, who learned his trade practicing on Li's own prisoners. Li's wife stands at the platform's edge, required by law to watch, her eyes never looking away even as her husband's face is systematically destroyed. Tomorrow she be sold into slavery. Her daughters are already gone, shipped to border garrisons the day before. Between each mutilation, the executioner reads from Li Si's own legal code. The criminal shall remain conscious throughout. Unconsciousness indicates improper technique requiring the executioner's punishment. Li specified that victims must be revived if they faint. He's fainted 3 times already. Each time, cold water mixed with vinegar brings him back. His own formula. The foot amputation requires bronze tubes to maintain blood flow during cutting. Another innovation Li invented after too many criminals died from shock before their sentences were complete. He wanted them to survive, to live as walking warnings. The tubes worked perfectly. He's about to discover how well. The castration comes forth, and Li watches them heat the blade, knowing from his own documentation that the worst part isn't the pain, but the sound, the sizzle of cauterization, the smell of cooking flesh. He wrote in his notes that the psychological impact of hearing one's own body burn enhances the punishment's deterrent effect. The crowd goes silent when they hear it. The final punishment is death by slow slicing, though not yet the refined version that will later become linky. This is cruder, less artistic, large pieces removed without ceremony because Li designed his system for efficiency above all else. His chest opens in for calculated cuts, his organs become visible. His heart, somehow still beating, draws the crowd's fascination. A junior scribe named Chen records every detail using the forms Li designed, filling in boxes that categorize types of screams, levels of resistance, crowd reactions. Tomorrow this form will be filed in the Imperial Archive under successful implementation of Legal Code Section 12. The irony is lost on no one. Li Si dies according to specifications, he wrote. His body denied burial as he prescribed for traitors, displayed for 7 days then burned, ashes scattered in the river to achieve total erasure. But here's the thing that should haunt everyone who hears this story. Li Si's system didn't die with him. The 5 punishments continued for 2,000 years. Millions suffered through the procedures he codified. Faces tattooed, noses removed, feet amputated, genitals destroyed, bodies opened, all following Li's precise instructions preserved in legal documents that outlived dynasties and empires. 300 years after his death, his own descendant Li Hao received the same punishments for the crime of quoting his ancestors' writings. The machine Li Si built was so perfect, so completely integrated into Chinese justice, that it consumed his own bloodline generations later. This is what happens when cruelty becomes bureaucracy, when torture transforms from random violence into systematic science. The scars don't just mark bodies. They mark entire civilizations, echoing forward through centuries, proving that some innovations humanity creates should never have been perfected at all. What's the most disturbing part of this story for you? The systematic nature of the cruelty, or the fact that it lasted for 2,000 years? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.